Okay, this is a quick course tour for CIT 219. So I have your Blackboard course up here. With this being a 200 level class, you should be familiar with Blackboard, but if for some reason you're not, we have right here a student quick introduction to Blackboard that you might want to look at. But this is what it'll look like when you log into Blackboard. The other thing I want to point out is, let's say we want to look at this quick introduction. So you can go through here, read this, watch the video. But when I X out of this content, notice that this icon changed from just a circle with a half-filled circle. And this is due to the progress tracking that is turned on in the course. So it's going to let you see what you visited, and in this case maybe you looked at this and said, okay, yeah, I found whatever I needed, so I can go ahead and mark this as complete. So it'll put a check mark there. So progress tracking is really good at letting you go through and find out, where you were studying, where you were reading, that type of thing. The other thing is, each of your classes will have a Start Here section. And if you expand that, it's going to have another list of things related to the course. And you should go through and read all of these. But one thing I want to point out that is really helpful also in keeping track of the course is in this syllabus and schedule section. There is a schedule document, and if you expand that document, it is going to be the page from your syllabus that tells week by week what type of or what the topics are for the week, and when the midterm exam is, when the final exam is, etc. So that's pulled out of the syllabus in here so that you could look at that really, really quickly. So like I said, I just wanted to point that out. You should go back and read those. Notice that it marked that I went into the syllabus and schedule section. Maybe I haven't gone back and read the syllabus yet, so I'm going to leave that showing that it has been started. And then if I collapse the Start Here, it's going to give me an indication that there are 9 things in here, and I have started one of them. So again, I think the progress tracking is very handy. The next thing I want to point out, which is the first thing in the Blackboard shell after the Start Here, is this document. If you've already looked at the syllabus or watched the syllabus overview, you'll know that I had an optional textbook, and I said I was going to provide you a PDF copy. So this is the PDF of the optional book that I will be referring to throughout the semester. The other thing I want to talk about is the way I like to lay out the courses. So what I like to do, that tentative schedule is set out by week. We're going to cover these topics. And that's how I go through and organize my class. So, if there are 16 weeks in the semester, there would be 16 folders, week 1, week 2, all the way up to week 16. And each one has a description of what we are going to be covering through the week. And then, when I click on that, each one of these is going to have a module overview. And what the module overview does is it tells you what topics we will be covering. So this first line should match up with the information that is in that tentative schedule. Also, each course has a list of course competencies, And this section is going to tell you, by covering the material for, in this case, week 1, this is the competency that will be covered. Usually it'll be more than one, but it might be one, it might be multiple competencies, or if we have a week where all we're doing is taking a test, then there would be no course competencies that would be related to that week. And then also in this, we will have the reading from the book. So you'll have the reading from your required textbook listed that relates to this. So there are 3 chapters related to the material and a 4th chapter related to number systems. And then I will give you the reading from that optional textbook, the tutorial and technical overview. And in this case, chapter 1, and I have a note here that probably most of this you would have already covered in CIT 161. And then chapter 2, which is on network interfaces. The next section each of these weeks will have in this document is a module activity. So during week 1, or related to week 1, you're going to have 4 homework assignments that are actually due during week 1. You will have that homework 0, the no-show activity, assigned pretty much the first day of class, but it is not due until in the second week of class. And in each week of class, starting with week 2, you will have a week quiz that is a quiz related to the material from the previous week. So during week 2 of the class, you will be taking a week 1 quiz that relates to the material you covered and had assignments on during week 1. So when I X out of this, again, it shows that I've started one. Just playing around with progress tracking, I'm going to go through and say, hey, I read everything in that module overview, so I'm going to go ahead and mark it as complete. And now it's going to say you have 1 of 1 completed. Unfortunately, there's not a second one in there so that I can go and look, but I'm pretty sure it'll tell you how many you've started and how many you have completed as 2 separate items. But that's just a really quick overview of how I've laid out your class in Blackboard and some of the things that you might need to know related to staying on track and tracking your progress through the course. The other thing I wanted to mention is there are some tools that we will be using. We will start covering them in week 2, and you will have an introduction to them, possibly a video on them, and then assignments related to them. But we're going to use a tool called Wireshark. We're going to use this a lot. And this icon for week 2 is actually a screen grab of Wireshark, where you see the packets that were captured with Wireshark and then their hexadecimal equivalent byte values. And over here, it'll break it apart by different layers of the OSI model. So, layer 3, it'll show you IP addresses. Layer 2, it'll show you MAC addresses and that type of thing. So, Wireshark is a protocol analyzer. And again, we will start using that in week 2. A couple other tools is we have a command line tool called TCP dump, which does the same thing as Wireshark, but instead of being a graphically based tool, it will be command line based. And then another tool that we will use is CloudShark. CloudShark is a cloud implementation of Wireshark. It's not 100% 1-for-1 compatible, but it's pretty close. And we will be using CloudShark to distribute captures that you will then be doing homeworks on. and possibly analyzing them and looking at the contents of the packet, much like you would do in Wireshark. So that's a tour of Blackboard, and also some mention of tools and resources that we will be using in CIT 219.